Fellas, gather around, listen to me. I'm about to put y'all on because somebody put me on. So I'm sharing this wealth of knowledge I got. In my quest to manifest magnificence in this kind of famous lifestyle, I found this product called The Perfect Gentleman by Touch Body Works at evoketouch.com. Let me tell you what it smells like though. This joke is crisp, man. It's clean. It's not too masculine. It's right at that sweet spot. Men love it, women adore it. That simple. Man, let me tell you something about this product, man. It's all handmade. It's all natural. No synthetics. No chemicals. It's natural the way we need things, man. Matter of fact, it's so natural you can eat it. But don't. Seriously, don't. Not only that, we talking about supporting small business that's a black-owned small business, and I want y'all all over that. EvokeTouch.com, EVOKE touch.com. Get something for yourself and jump on that Perfect Gentleman. While you're over there, get something for your mama, and then tell your mama I said hi.
I know they mad. They can't stop. Number one soundtrack in America. Black on. Living the number one movie for making records. Making the whole wow. We ain't just making the soundtrack. Told y'all to in the movie. Told y'all I'm gonna show y'all how to clean your dirty money up with good money. Invest into yourself. You heard?
My partner
This is the I'm Kinda Famous podcast. I'm your host, aRowe. New week, new episode every Thursday. Google Music, iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean. And I guess I'm thrown off because this camera's on me, but and it's not mine. Facebook, Twitter, Kinda Famous Pod, KINDA Famous Pod, POD is where you go to do the whole social media thing. On Facebook, any relative link or conversation or piece of conversation that goes with the show will be there. And today's episode, we're doing a video episode as well. So you can go to YouTube, aRowe Films YouTube, and see the I'm Kinda Famous podcast. You're just staring at me. You're making me uncomfortable. On YouTube, you can go to the aRowe Films YouTube page and watch the video when it's available for this episode, or a video that's available for any other episode that I have. Now, aRoweFilms.com, my personal website where you want to go, AROWE films.com. It's my personal website. That's basically where you go to find everything that I'm doing, from the podcast, from photography to film, and whatever I'm thinking about doing. Also, you can go there to get those Clean People Collector shirts. I'm wearing one right now. My guest has some kind of shirt on, at least part of it. And nope, can't talk yet. That's my plugs. And I'm a little thrown off by this Facebook Live thing he's doing right now because he won't take his phone off of me. So we're gonna jump right into the show. We're here in the park of Mulvane, in Mulvane, Kansas, the heart of Mulvane, Kansas. I guess this is downtown Mulvane. South of Wichita, near the Kansas Star Casino, where you probably know if you're listening. I work with Dave, the Caveman Rickles, shooting his events there, if it's his fight in Bellator, or if it's his EFC franchise fighting promotion. But right now is the Doc Sunback Film Festival in Art Crawl, third annual. We got 3 theaters with over 100 films in it for 3 or 4 days, from Thursday 6/22, June 22nd, all the way to June 25th is the last day. And my guest today has a film that is in this festival right now, actually playing on Friday, which won't matter because by the time you hear this, it would have already been done. Saturday
1:45 tomorrow.
Okay, I got that wrong.
Yep.
I don't like being wrong, so that's the end of the show. We're gonna so I have.
You know, it's tomorrow for some viewers, and it was 2 weeks ago for others. So
Yeah.
Okay, if you're watching on Facebook Live, we're doing some kind of time warp right now. So some people are seeing this one way, and when you hear it, it's gonna be a whole different thing.
And part of the charm of Mulvane
is you get to hear the trains, which is not a problem because I run a tight ship. So between trains, planes, and automobiles, this ship here is not going to crash. But I have a filmmaker, journalist for the Wichita Eagle. He had no hesitation telling me he's a 3-time Associated Press award-winning writer.
Now, wait a minute. All right, go ahead.
And he's currently working on a new documentary that we'll get into later. But the film that he has going on right now out here in Kansas is a documentary film. I feel like if I describe it, that it's going to take some of the spoil away from you explaining some of it. So I'm going to hold off. But it's a film that has been running basically a year. Now, the reason why I had the genius idea of doing this interview today at the Doc Sunback, because as I believe this would be the first time that out here in Kansas would have screened. And now a year later it's screening again, but it also went on this long journey from the inception of the idea, from the initial screening here at Sunback to where we're at now a whole year later. My guest today is Adam Knapp. And at some point this train will go by. I think it's done. Nope, I still see it.
No. I see that, well, let me just show the...
So he's going to show his Facebook Live audience this train that has miles of train left.
Oh, no. There's the caboose.
Oh, no. The caboose is the end. That's why people call asses. Anyway.
The caboose, yeah.
All right. Now, Adam, how does it feel to have this documentary of yours basically revisit the place that it started a whole year later?
It's really cool, and I'll tell you why. Because I was here 2 years ago when Doc Sunback was just starting out. I did not really consider myself to be a filmmaker, not really. It was just, I hadn't made anything. I had met Kenny a couple months before, and that was here at Doc Sunback that I met one of our producers, Savannah Rogers, who anybody who knows Savannah knows that she's a dynamo.
There you go.
And last year is actually where we had our test screening. Had a couple test screenings, is what we called them. We weren't like an official part of Doc Sunback, but we had our world premiere in October, as you know, because you were there.
Yep. And
it's just really, really cool. I love Doc Sunback, and I want to support it however I can, and it's always going to be cool the years I'm a part of it.
Now, what I'm going to have happen real quick, now I have to do some of these technical things from time to time. Adam is a very soft-spoken man, even though he did radio and TV, as he also reminded he did before radio. So I'm going to have Kenny, I'm going to have you slide just a little bit. I'm going to have Adam slide a little bit. And that way his face is always in front of that mic when he's whispering these sweet nothings to me. Now, Kenneth Linn is the DP. Is that what we want to call him?
Yeah, my theory on DPs is they're guys that wear wicker hats. I'm just a camera guy. I'm more comfortable with that. Camera guy and editor. That's
now y'all got together. You met him, Kenny, not last year, but the year before.
We met in January. I think we met in January of, was it 16?
Yes.
Okay.
And then last year you met Savannah, who what was her role with out here in Kansas?
Wait, am I getting this right? No, we met in January 15. I met Savannah in June of 15. Okay. So it's been 2 years now. Good Lord. Yeah. And the film was basically finished in June of 16.
Right.
Yeah, that's the timeline. And now it's June 17.
Now, what is Savannah's role in Out Here?
Her role has been basically to expose us to film festivals that we wouldn't ordinarily know about. Kind of, I think she's largely responsible for turning us on to Twister Alley Film Festival. And we ended up getting Best Documentary Short, Woodward, Oklahoma. And so she's given us a lot of exposure, particularly to college-age people. Savannah just turned, I think, 22, that we wouldn't have ordinarily gotten. And she gives us some presence up in the Lawrence, Kansas City area.
Why is there crime happening in Mulvane? It's pretty bizarre right now.
Too many jokes. Too many small town jokes.
So, Out Here in Kansas is it's in that weird space of being a short film and just short. It's just short enough to be a short, but too long to be an official short for most places.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain exactly what Out Here in Kansas is?
Well, and I'll let Kenny elaborate on this too. But
Should be on you. Now you're staring at a bearded guy.
Do you want me to put it on me?
You're the one talking.
All right,
there you go.
You got to keep those words flowing. It's radio too.
Oh yeah, sorry. Out Here in Kansas is basically about gays in the church. It is based on an article that I'd written for the Eagle many years ago, and then another follow-up article I did many years later, kind of based around an all-American football player who realized he was gay in the middle of the Bible Belt. I realized that his former pastor was also my former pastor, the Reverend Joe Wright, who was at the time was at Central Christian Church and was instrumental in making gay marriage illegal in Kansas. So I decided I was going to get them together because I had a good relationship with both of them, and that's kind of where the genesis of it started.
So the way that this whole thing came about is mostly due to the fact that you wanted these two people to have a conversation.
Yes, yeah, because I'm a Christian in Kansas, and I'm still seeking answers myself. I have read God and the Gay Christian. It's a book by Matthew Vines, who is the founder and leader of the Reformation Project. I don't know if you've heard of any of this, but Matthew Vines is pretty well known in the gay Christian circles. So it kind of took off from there. And then when I got Kenny involved, God bless him, not only did he have this filmmaking education and experience, but he was able to see my story and really make it into a film rather than just two talking heads of two guys arguing over gays in the church or that sort of thing.
So how did you get to this place of starting to research the
I just dove in, man. I'd watched a lot of movies and I'd written a couple screenplays just as a hobby, but
but what made you say I want to have these two people to get together and film it?
I felt that God wanted me to tell this story. I felt like that was kind of my calling. I felt like I was the only person in the world who could make a film like this just because of my relationship with these guys. And, I was pretty comfortable and confident in writing a screenplay. Now, writing a screenplay from a documentary is a bit of a futile exercise.
Sure.
I think I ended up rewriting it. Basically, I just rewrote what we'd done. I think I was originally thinking it was going to be 90 minutes long or something crazy like that. But, Kenny kind of convinced me that, 30 minutes was a good goal to shoot for. And the more I thought about it, the more I agreed, because I wanted a million people to see it. Still do. And who can't sit down and watch a half-hour movie?
Well, it is 2017. It's getting tough to sit down and watch 15 minutes too.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But so you have a Bert Humbert.
Yeah.
Comes out as gay.
Right.
Then you have this pastor who's, as you said, it was instrumental in making gay marriage illegal.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I remember the first time it came up too. I was sitting in church, and it's the first time I'd ever heard any pastor address homosexuality. And
now, was there any that had the possibility? Now, I've seen the film and I know what happens, but
right.
was there any point that you thought that this thing may just blow up, like, before they have this two meeting that they have in the film? I would say part of the climax of the film is these two sitting down and having that discussion. But as we've seen in our nation, that these two groups don't necessarily get along, at least how the media shows it.
Right.
And you're about to jump in here and make this happen on a more intimate level. Was there any concern of that this could just be two people yelling at each other?
Not really. Just because I know them both pretty well, and first and foremost, they're smart. They're both, used to speaking in public, and both carry themselves really, really well. And second of all, they're so passionate about what they do. But as you know, just from watching the film, they're also respectful. And I think that's what people are kind of left with after watching the movie is, hey, we can talk about this subject without screaming and yelling and getting mad at each other. I've got, I've got people from both sides, even now, who will, send me articles or videos or, just one way or the other. I guess, I don't believe people are born gay. Or I don't believe people choose to be gay.
Breaking news.
No, I'm
not editing it out, so
I just never thought it was a choice. I think that's dumb. And I've told Pastor Joe that, and he let me. He was so accommodating to every single request we had of him that he trusted me, and Bert trusted me, and that's pretty powerful. And I think all three of us, meaning John and John Pick, our producer, and Kenny and myself, I think we were all three on the same page, and Savannah to a lesser extent, because she was mostly in the post-production.
Right, she came in a lot later. We'd already had a pretty shaped up film.
But it was very important to us to make a fair movie. Now documentaries usually are pretty one-sided, but I had at least a couple filmmakers say you've got to pick a side. But that's just the journalist in me, I guess, that I thought, and here comes that train. I thought it would. I just couldn't approach it that way. I didn't want to turn people off.
So, do you feel like you? Okay, no. Let me ask you. This is where I was going with it. I need to timestamp that. 19 minutes. With you, do you want to spoil this on here, or do you want to just talk about? Do you want to keep the anticipation, or do you want to spoil it?
No, it's too soon to spoil it.
All right, so
there is a twist at the end. Is that what you're getting at?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So with Savannah coming along, if I'm wrong in this statement, I know. I guess the films I've seen hers may have the films of hers that I've seen made are all generally centered around the LGBT subject.
Yeah. The first film I saw of her is politically correct. actually was not. It was just kind of a straight comedy with how people get carried away with this, PC BS.
And how instrumental was she in this whole? Was there a degree of validation having her aboard, even though you have this? I don't want to pick either side, but bringing Savannah along kind of helps.
Well, yeah. I mean, you had 3 straight guys, one in his 40s and 2 in their 30s, and then all of a sudden you've got a pansexual girl barely out of her teens. Yeah, she changed the dynamic a little bit.
Absolutely, and I think having her involvement in it, I mean, it's an important aspect of the film is to show both sides of the perspective, and I think having a member of the LGBT community only validated and strengthened what we were trying to do. We never set off, like Adam mentioned before, we never set to treat one side more than the other. I mean, I'd say it's pro-gay rights, certainly, but we don't do some kind of Michael Moore thing to the opposing side. It's not dishonest.
Well, and I'll just say this, too. About a year ago, you and Savannah approached me about Pastor Joe, right?
I mean, I have a lot of opinion, but you can refresh me. Well,
I mean, what I'm getting at is a lot of people see Pastor Joe as the quote-unquote villain of the movie.
Right,
and,
yeah.
I think we just kind of laid it out there and let people judge from themselves. Some people came away thinking that he was the hero.
Well, part of why my position on at least him being a villain is because I just think it's natural. It's going to be natural for what's happening here, as well as how things kind of shape at the end of the film.
Right.
But my position wasn't so much that he was the bad person as much as we're watching you take this journey throughout the film, essentially getting the film done. From the word go, we know this is mostly your story.
Yeah.
We get Bert, and the biggest, the two common things that y'all have in this is his conversation with the pastor and your relationship with the pastor.
Right.
Which is kind of a struggle. You have 2 different struggles coming from the same source, which essentially made him the villain. What ends up and so, but the way you played it, at least in how I view it in the film, I think it's balanced enough. I still think he's the villain. I don't think you can get around it based on how I just described it.
Well, based on the screenings we've had, I'd say many people agree with you.
But you're also talking about Bible Belt hyper. I hate to say hyper Christian, but we'll just say we're talking religion and we're talking sexuality,
right.
Which I believe, and you guys probably have a stat better than what I'm about to make up, but it's not a very large LGBT community relative to the population of America. It's not. We're not talking about we're not talking 50-50.
Right.
So it's almost expected that more people who are learning to be sympathetic to people in general, regardless of sexuality, but where religion is starting to be demonized a little bit more or louder than before.
Definitely.
And so the people who are willing to speak up or speak out are people who previously felt oppressed by religion or feel like religion doesn't
represent them.
Right. Yep. So now that is a group of people who are now speaking out a lot louder. So that's where I kind of feel maybe where Savannah's and this is conjecture, we haven't had this conversation at all, but that's where I think Savannah may be coming from when she looks at him from that perspective. I just look at it as we got two different fights,
Right.
two different ways, and it all leads to this one person. So that's me. That's where I come from.
That's valid opinion, and as I said,
Sound like a great opinion, but go ahead.
we've had all right. We've had screenings, obviously all over Kansas, and I would say especially in Manhattan for some reason at K-State. Oh man, they did not like where Brother Joe was coming from at that
What's
screening.
the most memorable location of that you've went to the screenings for?
Well, the premiere was pretty awesome. The Roxy's downtown. I said that night is the best night of my life, and it really was, because it just made me feel so grateful that just the support, and surrounded by people I loved, and it was just a really personal thing for me that night. Taking that away, I don't know. That film festival in
Walden, Twister Alley?
Woodward. Twister Alley was pretty good.
What made it good?
It's in Oklahoma, obviously, but is in a small town in a downtown area. So it felt a lot like our current environment. And they had an old classical theater there. It had been used since the 1920s or 30s.
Wow.
And it just, it felt good to have some validation and some screen time with people that felt like home. Oklahoma's not far off from Kansas.
Yeah, and
culturally.
And we didn't know a soul either. But we still took home a first place prize. That was cool. Yeah, that's probably been my favorite one.
Well, whenever you win, LeBron doesn't feel good about, Golden State winning, even though they take home second.
Yeah.
So it's been a year. Well, actually, we're gonna get Kenny in on this a little bit. So, the initial screening that at least I was present for, not the Sunback, but one of your they call it focus group screenings.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah.
Was a whole different, not whole different film, but as they say, a lot of fat was trimmed from that version to this version. A lot of times when you being Adam being a writer, you just have a feel for the story. You know what you want to get. You feel like you got it all. What was it? How were you able to convince him that initial version wasn't hitting the mark?
Well, it wasn't hitting the mark, but keep in mind that it had already come through several iterations up to that rough cut stage. Adam mentioned that, writing a documentary is a futile effort. I'm a firm believer that a documentary finds itself in the editing process. You really, you want to go out and capture as much as you possibly can. Maybe there's a few critical and key scenes that you plan out, but you don't really know what you've got until you start working in your editing program and putting everything together. With that rough cut screening that we shared, it was really just what's the saying? Too close to the trees to see the forest.
Yep.
We had been just neck deep in editing and rewrites, and we had no idea if what we had was even shaping into a compelling story, a compelling enough story. So we just wanted to invite some people that we trusted and knew that wouldn't be so critical, that they'd be able to give us some constructive criticism, and that was the idea behind it.
Now, there was I asked this: what was the most argumentative cut that you guys had?
Oh, I would say probably the debate. We spent a lot of time cutting down the debate. It was originally an hour and a half long. It was shot basically with 2 angles. So you had, close up of Joe, close up of Bert, some wide shots interspersed in between.
Kenny would trick me.
Yeah, so I had this little game. We'd have like we had it cut down into all the sound bites or the sections of the debate that we liked.
Yeah.
And basically every time we met to edit, my goal was to get rid of some of those sound bites. And so I would pick like 3 sound bites, one that I knew was absolute gold and had to stay in the film, and 2 that weren't as good. And my game is like, okay, well, we've got to cut these 3 moments.
Mm-hmm.
We can't cut those 3 moments. Absolutely not. We've got to keep this one, but we can get rid of those 2. So,
and how did you take to that?
well, he didn't know it.
Oh,
until it was edited
Very
and
sneaky.
finished.
that's good. That's smart,
But boy,
especially with Adam Dolph Hitler over here. Go ahead.
I'm so happy with how that debate turned out, though, because we edited that son of a gun down from an hour, 90 minutes, to like 5 and some change, and it still flows. It still makes sense. You know how hard that is.
I do.
You're a documentary filmmaker, and it's
A long conversation.
and the body language and both of them, both sides of the debate were happy with it. That's tough to pull off.
I still would like that whole thing put out, but because there's certain parts that I remember.
Oh, the whole debate. Yeah.
There's
We
certain
should
parts
do
of
that.
the debate that I remember that wasn't in the final. I'm like, oh man, that was a good. Because there was time. What I love about the debate between the Pastor Joe and Bert, is that every time you felt like someone was the other one had a great counterpoint for each one, and it goes back and forth like a good I can't say ping pong, table tennis match.
You can say ping pong. It's all
I'm
right.
pretty sure that's I'm not gonna do it, but I'll let your fans and your deal with that. But
Some
what's the Asian
people are
thing?
really.
Bing bong, bing bong. Come on.
Oh, really?
Yes. You're not supposed to say ping pong. You think that
I never.
ABC would hesitate to call it ping pong?
I thought serious table tennis players just considered it, derogatory or not taking it seriously. That's
Hey
all.
man, I Google it. I may be wrong. If that's the case,
I guess it makes
but
sense.
I'm gonna say table tennis because there's a lot of Asian people that play table tennis, and I'm not gonna make fun of them.
You don't want to get on their beds.
I'm glad I know that.
See,
now.
this is
That's
the
a
thing.
whole nother
This
podcast.
is the thing about culture that you guys have. You know what? Forget it. I'm moving on because I'm not racist. But let's move on.
The debate.
The debate. No, I like the debate. I think the full thing should be put out. But here, let's move into the next piece of it. You're out now with this film.
Wait, the film's out.
Huh?
The film's out.
It's out?
You said I'm out.
No, okay. Yeah. The film.
I didn't even know I was in.
Let's. You know what? See, I'm trying not to spoil the movie.
Maybe
for
that's
you.
maybe that's the twist at the end.
but we are now a year from the initial debut of Out Here in Kansas.
Yep.
Is there a plan to give it to the people so they can just watch it?
Yes and no. I think I will. All I can really say about that is, by the end of this year, there will be an opportunity for the public to watch it. There goes Kenny. One way or another.
Okay.
So if you really want to see it, you'll have a chance in 2017.
Sometime at the end of the year.
Yep. Sometime before.
Um,
It may coincide with October 11, which was our world premiere, which also is National Coming Out Day.
Well, we're doing this right now in June in the middle of Pride Month, I believe it is. So we're also having a nice little LGBT conversation right in the middle of it, or near the end of it.
Right.
Now I forgot what I was gonna say to you.
You were asking if it's going to be available.
So
I'm determined to keep you on track.
I
here,
hesitate to. Okay, look. My
What are
solo
you getting
shows
at?
are different than than my interviews. I can stay on track. So I hesitate to bring this up but I am because I like a little controversy from time to time.
All right.
So now, well, how about this? Why don't you tell us how that initial world premiere even happened? Because you came to Doc Sunback to screen it.
Oh, I know what you're getting at.
I hope so.
The Tallgrass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was some issue taken by the fact that you even played it here at Doc Sunback, which
Right.
kind of took you away from being able to show it, or some politics that went with Tallgrass. So with that happening and having that world premiere, did you feel any kind of way about how that even got you get your screening, you get your world screening under a much larger platform that you were able to build on your own?
Probably, yeah. Well, yeah, here's what happened. And we've never really talked about this publicly,
Exclusive.
so
Let's do it.
so thank you so much, Lester.
You're welcome. You heard it
We,
here
as I said, last year here at Doc Sunback, it was a test screening. We had just put it together. Kenny, do you want in on this?
first. Kenneth Linn sitting back down. He's trying to run both camera and
being in Tallgrass was very important to us. Our whole goal was to be in Tallgrass, to have our world premiere at Tallgrass. Our whole marketing campaign was geared around the Tallgrass Film Festival 2016. Okay, so I made damn sure that to get their permission, hey, if we have a test screening in Little Old Mulvane, is that cool? Can we still, be eligible for Tallgrass and, and have it considered a world premiere? I was told, yes, that can happen. So we have a test screening here, small audiences. And
the reasoning behind the test screening, we had the film finished, and you're dying to share it,
right.
and this little film festival was in June and Tallgrass was in October, and we didn't want to sit on it for 3 months before we heard people's reactions to it. So that was the idea behind the test screening, is we can test it out in front of a small audience. And if we get lashed horribly, then we've got a couple months to lick our wounds and
right.
get ready for the next one.
Yeah, but it wasn't eligible for any awards here or anything like that. It was, I guess we were in the program, but it said test screening. So fast forward 3 or 4 months, and Kansas.com releases a list of the Tallgrass films, and I'm looking for our name, and it's not in there. And I'm thinking, well, obviously there's been some mistake. Yeah. So I, reached out to them, and no mistake. It was considered ineligible because we had already screened it. Well, son of a bitch. Like I said, I was so, I didn't know what to tell. I didn't know what to tell everybody. That I didn't know what to tell Kenny or John or Savannah or just all the people who had asked me, when's it going to show? When's it going to show? So, Christine Bittner, who was a marketing genius, told me good friend of mine. This could be the best thing that ever happened to you. And at the time, I wasn't really thinking that, but then a gentleman named Brandon O'Brien, that's not O'Brien.
Okay. With an M, not an N.
Basically, it started out that he wanted me to talk to a men's group, and then wondering if we might be able to show the film to this men's group. And long story short, that kind of evolved into us kind of just having our own world premiere at Roxy's downtown. I showed it to the owner of Roxy's, and once he saw it, he was in. Did not. Well, I shouldn't. The semantics don't matter, but so Christine was right. It ended up being our own deal.
Yeah.
We kept the money it made, and it was just awesome.
One thing I have no filter when it comes to certain things is Tallgrass has somewhat Tallgrass Film Festival is a international film festival, basically the main film festival for Wichita, or at least the Kansas area.
Question. Yeah.
And they screen plenty of work. My qualm has always been that they use the local talent to help push the product. It's easy marketing for them to do these down to the wire contests. And do all these things, and then in return don't really respect the work of local people, local filmmakers. Now, with that said, it was kind of troublesome to hear that this screening in Doc Sunback made you ineligible to show, because to me a good film is a good film, especially if it's local. And you see that the director or the filmmaker or the group is doing everything they can to be seen, doing the work. You're gonna get, you're a film festival, you're gonna get a kudo for showing. You see they already doing the work, so they're gonna do the equal amount of work to make people come, basically buy a ticket to come see their film in your festival. So I thought it was a little disrespectful to be that way. But as you said, it ends up becoming, if it was someone like myself, it becomes fuel to, okay, let me show you how I can do it myself. And you did it yourself somewhat in the same month as Tallgrass.
Well, the day before.
And
I gotta say, we couldn't have done it without Tallgrass, and because they let us use their projector and their screen and all the stuff they were having, for the festival.
I still feel like
they were on our program. They sent a photographer. It was like we were.
That was a Tallgrass photographer?
Yes. Well, there were three photographers there: VIP Wichita and Splurge, and the Tallgrass.
Well, so they didn't have the only photographer there, and the Roxy wanted to screen it. Someone was going to figure out how to show that film in that auditorium, regardless if Tallgrass would have gave you a projector or not. You would have figured it out.
Sure.
It would have had to get figured out.
I know, but point is that, they did help us. They did not have to do any of that. You know what I mean? Kenny and I went to Tallgrass a couple nights last year.
No, I'm not saying don't go. Good movies are good movies. You can still go see movies. I'm not saying don't go see movies.
I've gone every year.
I would just love for them to look at how they treat local filmmakers. Just reassess how that's done. Because those filmmakers, I was just sitting in the filmmakers Q&A here for Doc Sunback at Luciano's, and watching all those guys who say that they were part of Down to the Wire and things like that. And I'm going to guess, I don't know. I don't even know the schedule for Tallgrass, but I imagine the Down to the Wire competitors and films that are going to be in that film festival will probably be shown possibly a Sunday, maybe a Saturday, maybe late, maybe super early. I don't know
maybe
if
during the Chiefs game.
maybe during the Chiefs games. I don't know. But if I'm right, this is why I'm saying this needs to be reformed in how they treat locals.
Well, and I would like to, take a moment to plug Doc Sunback, because, and I am a member of the founding team for Doc Sunback, and so I'm not interested in bashing Tallgrass or talking trash on
I'll
them.
do that. Don't worry. I'll take care of that part.
Well, because in all honesty, we chose a weekend in June because we didn't want to compete with them. We didn't want to be seen as someone trying to take away their audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a very similar issue where local filmmakers weren't really being represented. And it's hard, and I would love to have an exploding filmmaking culture where writers, directors, producers, camera guys, editors can all get together and talk shop and work on each other's projects, because I think that only grows the culture,
right,
the local culture, and makes it better. You start seeing better content coming out of a particular area if we're supportive of one another. And so that's what, one of our primary goals with Doc Sunback is to do, is to give local filmmakers a venue so they can bring their friends down and say, this is what I spend every weekend on. This is what I'm spending. This is why I have 3 credit cards maxed out. This is my life. And
now I'm gonna go. I just want to be clear. I've been in Tallgrass, so it's not like I'm a person who got rejected from Tallgrass and I'm just bitter about it. Me being in it or not, seeing how that happens is concerning, especially for the main film festival that puts a lot where local filmmakers put a lot into helping represent it with their different off-season competitions. But we'll get off of that. That is one thing that's good, or several of many things that's good about Doc Sunback, is how the local filmmakers are treated. I mean, I was here last year. You were Adam, I guess both of you, a part of the first year, or saw the first year, and just what I've seen. This is my first day here. It already seems like it's a little bit bigger than what it was last year. Even the filmmakers, watching how they engaging with each other is next level compared to what it was last year. So it's a growing film festival, and granted, you got Doc Sunback isn't directly trying to compete with Tallgrass, but being 20 minutes away from Wichita, I think once the word gets out, this is a film festival that's really taking care of local films. Some adjustment will be made, or will have to be made. That's just my opinion. Now, moving on. You have other films. We spent a good amount of time talking about the one that made you make this transition from sports journalist, writer, and writer, radio host. You said you did TV. There's no proof of that, so I don't know. But now you're going to walk into your second film. You care to share what that's about?
Sure. You want to?
Well, it's about the Wichita Wings, the 1980s dynasty of indoor soccer.
I know nothing about this in Wichita.
I don't know much either. I'm learning along the way. But we've gotten involved with a couple of local authors. They wrote a book on it, and they literally wrote the book on the Wichita Wings. And they are our producers, and we're using that book as kind of a blueprint for our film. I don't know, Adam.
Well, yeah, as the only one at this table who has attended a Wings game,
okay,
or is old enough to remember the 1980s Wichita Wings, probably
accurate.
Dallas had a team. Did you know that?
What?
An indoor soccer team?
Yeah, Dallas Burn.
Okay. All right. So.
Oh no, Dallas Sidekicks.
sidekicks. Right, that was the indoor. It was just Tattoo, who later played for the Wichita Wings.
Oh, really?
Sure did.
See, I know a little something.
Yeah, tiny little guy.
Yeah, but it's great. He was player coach, I think.
Yeah.
Base.
Didn't know he was coach.
Oh, okay.
And
well, let me tell you a
unless
little
you
something
can-
about the Dallas sidekick. We'll let you go. I'll let you take the stand first.
All right. I can't tell if he's BSing or not.
I probably am.
The Wings were just such a phenomenon that really only could flourish in the 80s. It had, my working title for it, I don't think anyone else is crazy about this, is Sex, Violence, and the Wichita Wings.
Awful.
I knew you were going to say that. Just because the sex appeal was a huge part of the Wings.
Oh, you said sex.
Yeah.
I thought you said like sex. I thought,
No, sex.
Okay.
Sex.
Give me the title again.
Sex, Violence, and the Wichita Wings.
Love it. Run with it.
Really?
Go.
Okay. These guys were kind of sex symbols, and most of them were from Europe. They had the little short shorts. They had tan, oiled up legs. They had pretty hair, and the women in this town loved the Wichita Wings. Some of them loved them more than others. In addition to that, you had the Wichita Angels, who were Wichita's version of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Who we just had a little reunion for them, 4 of them, the other night. Filmed it, of course. But it was such...
Adam, reframe that.
What do you mean? Why?
You make it sound that you had a reunion with the Wichita Wings and you filmed it.
The Angels.
Angels.
Well, we had them. They were looking at their old cheerleading costumes. Okay. They were laughing about memories.
Now, did they hold up well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still getting it done.
All right. Need a second camera.
My chin just hit the mic, by the way.
Fine.
That's that's an amateur mistake.
He's done radio before.
Yeah, I know. Mike Ramalis had this video, one of the producers, had this video of all these old cheesy fashion shows and Kaleidoscope. For those of you old enough to remember Kaleidoscope with, I think, Mogi Langston and Gene Rump. It's just, the film is going to be just a lot of fun to watch, and I think almost as fun to make. Just because, as Andy Chapman said, it's his opinion that the 1980s were the greatest decade that ever existed. Now, I lived through the 80s, and I was in my preteens and teens, and I thought it kind of sucked.
What?
I couldn't drink beer.
Oh,
I couldn't.
I couldn't sin is the reason why he didn't like the 80s.
Oh, well, I guess.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
It was a good time to grow up.
RoboCop, Back to the Future.
I just watched the original RoboCop.
It's awful, isn't it? It didn't hold up. I bought RoboCop on Blu-ray.
The humor holds up. But I gotta say, I was a little. I've heard more old man jokes today.
Well,
you have no idea.
It's a part of life.
Anyway, that's our movie. What other questions you got?
Well, this one is for Kenny actually. Now you shot you shot Olive out here in Kansas.
A lot of it. Yeah, we had a lot of historical footage from the games.
Well, in terms of new footage,
John Pick was one of our photographers. He actually, him and Adam were working on the project before I was involved, and John was originally shooting it. When I came in, I originally was just going to be the editor. John was having some health issues and had to back out, so I kind of took the lead on that. That's why I'm uncomfortable with the DP, the director of photography title, because I just came on as originally as a support camera guy and ended up doing a lot more of it than originally planned.
So are you planning to be, I mean, are you the DP in this case for the sex, drugs, and wings?
Yeah, well, okay. So with documentary, I feel that the DP title isn't as necessary.
Or are you shooting it? Is probably
I'm shooting it.
All right, so shooting it. I mean, I imagine just thinking about what we, is it going to be more of how Out Here looks in terms of how it's shot, or are you experimenting with a new type of a different technique?
Yeah, we're definitely trying some new stuff. Okay, so an industry term for you. I know you're familiar with documentary and with documentary terms, but B-roll. You have to B-roll is considered the visual footage that helps you tell a documentary story. Otherwise, you were limited with just interviews, right? So some of the B-roll that I have in mind, we want to recreate an 80s style music video. And so we went back and watched a bunch of classic 80s music videos and took inspiration from those.
Which ones? You gotta say which ones.
Simply Irresistible.
Once in a Lifetime.
They're going some Huey Lewis in the News?
No.
No Huey Lewis.
Tom Petty, Jammin' Me.
Yeah.
Little Hall and Oates? Wait. What kind of video we making?
You're like soft.
The one with the sweatbands that are
Money for Nothing.
Money for Nothing.
Straits. Yeah. All right. Robert Palmer.
Okay.
So we're taking that as inspiration.
Old. Go ahead.
And we're making our own video out of it now. How's that fit in the overall film? This is completely theoretical and experimental at this point, but my idea for how the film is going to edit together is I want it to feel like a VHS tape that the entire family records on. I don't know if you remember the 80s, but if, grandma had a show that she wanted to watch, she'd record her show, you'd record your show, and the experience of watching that tape, the tracking would get all messed up in between programs, and maybe, you had your copy of Back to the Future and, a news recording is right in the middle of it.
Okay, so it just kind of will jump in, kind of a little sneaky, I don't know. You just kind of like a, like you say, you were recording Jeopardy. She got a soap operas, and then Jeopardy all of a sudden was on there because someone used to record Jeopardy, and it just bounced right back into.
Exactly.
All right.
Yep, exactly.
Spoiler alert.
So that's my transition concept. So as we're moving from point to point through
now, will the whole are we still doing widescreen? Or we?
That is still up to debate. I think that a little bit of 4:3 aspect ratio, the square aspect ratio, would be appropriate. Maybe not necessarily for the entire thing. I think if the entire documentary had the weird tracking, people wouldn't want to watch it. But if it's peppered in there throughout, it's going to be kind of cool and fun. And
well, we're going to jump. I don't want to create no spoilers, give away no ideas here. So we'll go back to the story of.
No, that's okay. You were talking about DP. We've never been too hung up on titles or anything like that. But Kenny and I are actually the co-directors of this one. So, I used to have the final say. So now I guess.
Shared. It was shared then. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But anyway, we're co-directors and 3 producers right now. So,
but what's your target? How far along are you in this now?
Well, we've we've shot several interviews.
It's gonna be faster than out here in Kansas.
Let's hope so. But you know how it goes. You kind of decide, we needed this. We need to make a trip to Detroit. We need to make a trip to England. And but I do feel we're definitely further along in the process. Done several interviews. We hope to get most of the shooting done by the end of the summer, and then get going on the fun stuff.
Now with Out Here was your first film. How are you comfortable? You know, is the level of comfort there now going into this second one with all the trials and tribulations and mistakes and all this stuff that went with making Out Here? Do you feel like, okay, I got it now, I'm comfortable doing this?
Well, yeah, for me, most definitely. I'm sure it's easier on Kenny too, not having to explain quite as much, you know, because it was a tremendous learning curve for me. You know, Kenny's become one of my best friends. You know, we've got a good working relationship, and John Pick also, and so yeah, I think, you know, when Kenny says it'll be easier this time around, there's no question. I mean, just getting that comfort level with somebody, and am I answering your question?
Yeah. So
okay.
Are you thinking feature or short?
We'll see.
I had something on that.
Okay.
All right, so here's my theory on the length of a film. A film should be as long as necessary and probably shorter than that.
A film or a documentary? Which one are you thinking?
Either. I think it's a sin that I think is the ultimate sin that you can make as a filmmaker, is to bore your audience. And so it just, that's not to say that I think all films should be 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour, but you know, if it's going to be an hour and a half, then it needs to earn that hour and a half. So I'm kind of ruthless as an editor. If I feel a scene drags, or I feel that it's not working, then I come after it pretty strongly.
Now, let's set a base by that statement then. Favorite film of the last 5 years?
The last 5 years, oh boy. Mad Max. Fury Road. Yeah.
Yours. Get on that mic.
So back to 2012. I don't know.
Roughly.
You guys are gonna crucify me, but I really, really like that new Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I saw it again last night. It's awesome. Why is everybody dogging it?
I don't know. I haven't seen.
Zombie sharks, dude. I'm dropping the mic.
Some movies I feel go a little bit longer than it needs to go.
Not this one. I hear you on the other one.
But here's the thing. Let's say, how many Pirates has it been? What, 6? Something like this?
No, not that many. I think this is the fifth. I'm not sure.
Oh, excuse me. 1 over. But let's say 1 is good. Let's say 2 is good. Once you get to 3 and 4 in there, it's hard for someone to say, let's get to 5.
Do you like the Fast and Furious movies?
No.
Oh, okay.
See, I'm scared they're going to do this with Star Wars.
Definitely going to do it with Star Wars.
I'm really scared of it.
But I just think I read that, who's taking Star Wars?
Directors walked off of it.
Ron Howard. Ron Howard is taking this new Star Wars.
I did not know that. Yeah. Really?
So, which I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I'm a Ron Howard. I like how he does. I might check that one out.
Jack Sparrow is one of the great movie characters of all time.
Now, Kenny, you were talking about The Shining, and
this one has a great villain in it. And there's...
Wait a minute, what'd you say about Jack Sparrow?
He's one of the great movie characters of all time. He's up there with, you know, Darth Vader and...
I'm afraid that Adam is talking like a child right now.
Well,
give me
you put
character.
Me on the spot.
Besides
Darth Vader?
Besides Darth Vader.
One of the great characters, Indiana Jones. No good?
You love Spielberg, huh?
Well, I'm trying to think of sequels.
So you're talking about a character that is reoccurring through several series of films.
Yeah.
I'm
just trying to think of memorable Hollywood icons.
So you think Jack Sparrow is an icon?
Yes. Hell yes.
I don't know. I'm not.
Do you have
I'm not
any
arguing.
idea how many people have seen these movies?
I mean, it keeps going. It has to be millions,
Absolutely.
billions, no millions. I don't know. I don't go around and hear debates about Jack Sparrow versus Hook.
Now listen, I wasn't like completely on, Pirates of the Caribbean. I thought it was fine, but this movie's really good.
How did
and
you
no
get-
one's giving it the credit it deserves.
Why you think?
Because
Is this the 5th one?
yeah, I suppose. But it's my daughter liked it. I had to drag her to it last night.
You're gonna have
Drug
to drag
her.
everybody with you to go see.
Was that 2 nights ago, I guess.
There's nothing wrong with the occasional, popcorn flick, and that's what I think Mad Max is for me. I mean, it's balls to the wall action movie. I mean, the plot is they drive out into the middle of the desert and then they drive back.
I don't think I've ever finished it.
That's the entire plot. So I'll defend Adam's enjoyment of just a fun film. It's not.
I don't know
high-thinking film,
what popcorn, other than the Dark Knight stuff, but I don't want to. Batman would be too easy.
But that's the last 5 years. The only one you have is the one with Bane. You couldn't understand a word he said.
Chris Nolan has done in the last 5 years. I mean, what we've got?
Interstellar
and Inception. Dunkirk is coming out, I think, this summer.
When did Django come out? Was that 11 or 12?
No, it was. It was about 5 or 6 years.
I went to see that by myself. Nobody would go see it with me, and that was that's probably been my most enjoyable movie experience, except for till Pirates of the Caribbean came along.
For me, I think it's pretty simple because I started my whole radio podcast and show with it. Get Out is my favorite film in the last 5 years.
That was so different, so unique.
It's great. It's amazing.
Now, I don't think I'd enjoy it the second time.
I don't think you were supposed to enjoy it. That's
What do you mean, white people?
Yep. I think that.
Well, I did, so there.
Well, you said you wouldn't enjoy it the second time because now it's revealed that okay, this is what this is about.
But you know why I enjoyed it is because I'd heard a little
Got
talk.
black friends?
No, I don't have any black friends.
Kenny. So.
You're my friend. I'm kidding.
I
enjoyed it because let me finish this. No.
Okay, go ahead.
I enjoyed it because I'd heard a little something about it on the radio, and I refused to watch any trailers or read anything about it, or I went into it cold.
I'm gonna pause you real
I
quick.
haven't seen it yet, so
Okay, I was gonna say I've been looking for. I haven't talked to any white people about it who have seen it. So the fact I took the same approach. No, I take that back. I saw the original trailer that teased many months before it actually showed.
just a short.
It was on Facebook, and I remember seeing it and thinking, I don't know, because we tend to not do this genre very well. We as in black people. So I was a little or a majority black, somewhat majority black cast director tend to don't do horror very well. So I was like, I don't know.
You had Tales from the Hood.
That was great. That was great. I love that film. I'll watch it today.
Actually.
And then it was Jordan Peele, who is a comedy sketch satire, director, writer, and that whole thing. So it was like, I don't know. And it was the most pleasantly surprised I've ever been. I was the same way. I said, I'm not going to look at any trailer.
That's a big key.
But that's how I am with a lot of film now, or not documentary, but horror films and things like that. Because I feel like movie companies are so untrusting of people coming that they have to give you all the good parts. And so now that I've seen the trailer doesn't really link that much with what I saw in the film, which I like. I said when I make a horror film, I will give you a pump fake or a a trailer that isn't really what you're going to see. It's just to get you there. Actually, M. Night Shyamalan made another movie too.
I heard that. The very next day after I saw Get Out, I actually saw a commercial for it, and man, it ruins it, man. It makes it look like a horror film, which I will argue it's not.
It's not. No.
And man, am I glad I didn't see that before I saw the movie. But how do you avoid? I guess you avoid TV. I think it was the day it came out on DVD, so they were, just promoting the bejesus out of it.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, everything about it would have been out and about. Okay. Favorite documentary? Any one of you?
I've got a lot of favorites, but one
favorite ever?
You can pick however you want to pick it. This documentary is kind of hard to kind of match up against each other. So.
I normally got a running list of documentaries, but one I rewatched very recently is called The Imposter.
I saw that at the Orpheum. Tallgrass brought it. Shout out Tallgrass for bringing that out because I really like that.
It's really, really interesting. It inspired me without here in Kansas. I guess the main character of the film, they actually did this for different reasons, but he speaks directly to the camera and looks directly into the audiences.
So a quick note before you say that, in my book, Wi-Fi Rock Bottom, Something About Meth, based on Mancha Coon's addiction. In that book, I talk about around the 4th or 5th chapter about I wanted to make that documentary like The Imposter.
Really?
Where I have this actor. This is when I said I was having trouble finding her and this whole thing, and I said, what if I take what I know, have someone recreate being her, and then be that character kind of speaking to the camera like I don't know his name, but an imposter. But I thought that documentary is amazing. I mean, it's
got a great twist.
Yeah,
shot really well.
Definitely.
I love all the interviews. It's just really a documentary gets a bad rap for being either boring or they get a bad rap because they're not very pretty.
I think what's happening with documentaries now is this I'm gonna try to tie these things together. This morning I was on YouTube. I was looking up a Papillon. It's a dog. It's a little toy dog. And it says, I Googled that, or I put it on YouTube search. I look at it and it says, Papillons 101, Animal Planet. And I click on it. And you look at like what Animal Planet used to look like many, many years ago.
Sure.
And it was like, it's just these boring kind of put you to sleep classroom type of videos.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's so much energy. It's so much better produced. I think is what's happening with documentaries. Like now, documentaries have this sort of power to move a conversation and shift the conversation.
Well, the equipment's become accessible, is a large
and
part
easier.
to do with it.
Yeah, it's true.
And you can afford, you can walk into Best Buy and for under a couple $1,000s get all the equipment you need to get started. And so all of a sudden, stories that you didn't used to hear are being told. I think that just opens the doors wide open for filmmaking. I think it's a wonderful thing. And, documentary is also, it's an accessible art form. You don't need a huge budget.
Yep.
You don't need, $500,000 worth of special effects and studios, and you don't need that stuff to tell a documentary story.
Right. And just I think the directors are also, or the filmmakers, I would say, are thinking more and more about the story versus it's just let's sit down and ask questions. I mean, granted, Wi-Fi is done in that way where I'm asking her questions, but it's everything about it is very intentional, because of what I wanted to happen with Wi-Fi. But I think in general, a lot of documentaries are telling better stories than they ever did before. Your turn. What you got, Adam?
Now, having said that, my favorite documentary came out, I think, in 1994. It's called Crumb. You heard of it?
I have not.
Hey, Kenny, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, the cartoonist.
Yeah. It's based on Robert Crumb, who was just kind of a slice of pop culture. That he was a cartoonist, and he would draw these somewhat perverted cartoons. Fritz the Cat. He a lot of sexual overtone, or not overtones.
No,
there was a lot of.
I haven't seen
out.
it. I've heard of it though.
Yeah.
I just recently heard of it a couple months ago, I think.
Drew the cover of the Janis Joplin album. You'd know it if you saw it. Cartoons on the cover, and the reason it's so well made is because the director, who I'm sorry to say, I can't think of how his last name's pronounced, but
we'll find it.
He was friends with the Crumb family, from their childhood. So he had this access into Robert Crumb's life that most people just wouldn't have gotten. I mean, he was a bit of a shy guy, and man, is it good. I mean, just everything Crumb. Yeah, I've got it on DVD. I'll be glad to let you borrow it.
Hopefully it's on Netflix. Probably not.
Well,
Sounds
it
like
has
wouldn't
been.
be.
It has been. Yeah.
And Netflix is weird, really weird about what they keep and when it goes. Go in, saw something one time, think they want to watch it, it's gone.
Now, I also really like American Movie, and although I'm not sure I'd consider that a true documentary. I think
American
Movie is about the two horror film guys.
I think you told me about this before.
Have I? Kenny's actually got a VHS tape of the horror movie they made. But the documentary itself is about the filmmakers, and a lot of funny moments. See, you're writing. See?
Keep talking, I'm writing.
But there's so many great documentaries out there. It's hard to. But if you put a gun to my head, Crumb.
Okay. So usually we'll go ahead and start to wrap this thing up. Now I ask this question at the end of I try to at least. Now I know you like music because you named a bunch of old man tunes. So tell me.
I can go further than back.
What are you currently listening to?
Well, let's see. On my iTunes right now, a lot of 21 Pilots. I love them. I love
21
them.
Pilots?
Yes, I've seen them in concert.
Okay.
Don't knock them, man.
All right.
I've got.
If you wanted to send someone something that they need to go YouTube or go listen to right now, what you got for them?
Oh, like really current?
No, just whatever.
Well, I'd probably just send them my own list because it's great.
Your own list.
Yes, I would send them my Spotify list because it's like the best workout, the best driving, the best sitting around music that you can get.
I want you to take
read
a
off.
screen. Okay, I want you to read it. Take a screenshot. We're gonna put that on the Facebook.
It is.
People to go
It
look
is
that up.
absolutely. It's called Adam Sweat Songs. It's got let's see, Iggy Pop, Black Keys, The Kills, Alice in Chains, because I'm a big grunge guy. Miley Cyrus, Party in the USA. That's a good song.
Wait, you can't say I'm a big grunge guy and then go Miley Cyrus, Party in the USA.
I'm diverse, dude.
I can tell.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah,
which is not grunge, but
yeah, he's wearing a sleeveless Rage Against the Machine shirt, snakeskin boots. White people
got
stuff.
Pink, Got let's see here, the Pixies.
All right, take a list of it.
Public Enemy.
Okay.
Old school.
Stop. Don't mess it up. Stop at Public Enemy. A little bit of PE. I'll take that. You're talking to my audience now.
Yeah, boy, peace. How low can you go?
This is going back into this ping pong type of conversation. What are you watching? What should people go watch?
Kind of into Fargo, but been kind of weird this season, so a little harder to follow. I'm not really watching much of anything right now.
Well, what's the last good thing you watched that you want that people should go see that you saw?
Like in the
maybe
movies?
You got some on Netflix, maybe something. We're not gonna say pirates. It's not pirates.
Yeah.
Give me something from Netflix. You got some Netflix that you just seen?
No, I don't. Let's see. See, I'm not on Netflix anymore.
Okay.
So I'm sorry to disappoint you,
give me
but
a
Fargo's
movie.
about the best
Fargo?
I can. Yeah.
Well, give me a movie.
It Comes in the Night. Just saw that one.
You like it?
It comes at night.
That's in the theater, isn't it?
Yeah. That's not at the Palace either. It's still in the first run theater. Again, that's another one that's not quite horror. Not you kind of got it. It's
checking it out.
Kind of like Get Out, and the fact that you've got to kind of figure out things as you go along. And yeah, that's about the best I can do, man.
Now, Kenny, well, I was asking him, and you, I don't know. You listen to music?
A little bit.
A little bit. Give him the microphone there. Tell us what you're listening to. Give me a song that you're listening to that you're enjoying right now.
You think I'm old man music?
Let's see.
I listen to a lot of Bob Dylan. I like a lot of David Bowie. There's a local band called Carrie Nation and the Speakeasy. I dig them.
Okay, local as in what?
They're from Wichita.
From Wichita.
Yeah.
Well, tell people how to find them.
Occasionally they hold concerts.
Well, like
sometimes
online,
they're
the internet.
so it's Carrie Nation, Carrie Nation, just the way it's spelled, and the Speakeasy, and they are this kind of they're bluegrassy but kind of punk rockish. They've got a really strange description of their music. I think they describe themselves as like steampunk metal, I guess. It's kind of beyond a genre.
Very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Let's give people somewhere to go. Now, what you watching? You got something you're watching, a movie or something you want to refer people to?
I consume just about every documentary I can find on Netflix.
What's the last good doc on Netflix that you got into that you think people should see?
Dear Zachary.
That's a good one. Dear Zachary is a good one. Go see that one.
You don't see Lester speechless.
It's a couple of them I don't watch here recent. Well, not recent. It's been on Netflix for a while, but that's bizarre. Yo. All right. I didn't expect that. I was gonna say like I don't know. Shit, I don't know. See, that's the first time I done cursed on it.
I've seen, well, on Dear Zachary, I probably watched that over a year ago, but I mean, when you ask me favorite documentary on Netflix, I mean, that's going to stay in my top 5 list for the foreseeable future. I mean, it really is powerful.
See, I enjoy true crime a lot. I mean, I'm starting to watch this one. It's a series with,
True crime?
Yeah. It's a series on Netflix. No, that's the genre, true crime genre. On Netflix about this nun, I believe it was, that came up murdered and missing, and it's interesting. It's like 8 parts or 6 parts, something like that.
Actually, I started it last night. I watched about 30 minutes of it, and it is getting a little late, so I.
Yeah. I'm digging it so far. I'm digging that so far.
Did they ever make another season of Making of a Murderer?
Well, that's kind of what this is. I don't think it's the I don't think it's the same filmmakers.
They're supposed to.
What do you think about that? making a murderer? You seen it, Kenny?
It was pretty well made, but boy, did it go on forever.
What you think? Is it good? You think he did it?
Yeah, probably.
I'm the same way. I'm in the same camp.
I think the filmmakers, if I remember correctly, they left some
It's
really
just
important
yes
information out that was in the case.
Yeah.
That was in the court case, but they didn't discuss.
Well, here's how I got
It could have been a lot shorter than 10 episodes.
Oh, definitely.
I know that much.
Definitely. I actually first heard of that case because I'm a big I'm just a podcast. I listen to podcasts as well. I was listening to one of the NPR shows. I can't think of it right now. Radio Lab. That's what it was.
Sure.
And they had did a story over the case that they allegedly got wrong about him when he went to jail for the girl on the beach that he supposedly had murdered on the beach, and it was him but wasn't him, and he did all that time and they finally let him out. That's where he got all that money from. So they had did a story on that, which was a thing about basically how eyewitness testimony isn't good and you see what you actually think you see. And so when I saw that they was doing this series, I was like, yo, I had to go back and listen to the podcast and like, hold up, did I miss something? And that's how I actually got to where I was even interested in it. And it's well done, but I just feel like it was too leaning to make the police a lot more corrupt than they actually are. And that's from a black person who this ain't working out for us that well.
There's no question that the local court system and police, weren't doing their jobs correctly. But again, I think Adam, you said it. Did it need 10 episodes? Did it need that much time spent on it? I don't know.
And here's I'm gonna let this little cat out the bag. I didn't mention it in the little filmmakers little thing. But I'm planning to work. I'm trying to get this documentary on this guy who this story just came out about a week ago. The guy who looks he did 17 years, I believe it was, for robbery. And he looks just like, and his name is exactly the same as the person who actually did the crime up here in Kansas City. And they call it the doppelganger.
So no relation.
Something. They're not related. The guy, so they both look exactly alike. They showed the pictures or whatever, the police photo thing. Mugshots. They showed both mugshots. They look exactly alike. And had the same name and lived like 5 miles from each other or something like that. And then it wasn't until some other thing happened that the police found this out, and the guy gets out of jail, and that's where we're at now. Just last week. So I'm chasing that little story down because I think, because a lot of the person who gave it to me like, see how they do black people, blah blah blah. I'm like, no. They look alike. Same name.
What was the name?
Richard something. One went by Richard, the other went by Rich or something like that. And the person, I think they said the person said their name during the crime. So it was just like, they look alike. I mean, you can't really blame the police. Now, granted, this only happened because of eyewitness testimony. So it wasn't like they didn't have any other additional evidence. It's just this. I'm like, look like them though. And I believe, no, there wasn't surveillance. I can't remember completely, but so that's something I just started trying to trace down last week because
that's a good one. That one. I was just thinking, it's kind of amazing that's never happened before, but it probably has happened before. Yeah. We just never heard about it.
Yeah. Well, it's salacious now. It's a sexy kind of conversation to talk about crime a lot more. So I'm with it. That's what I'm chasing down. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to get it.
It was in Kansas City though.
It happened outside of Kansas City, but I think he was in Leavenworth. I could be wrong, but Yeah, I'm trying to trace that down. Like I said, I want to do a true. I want to somewhat in my documentary work be known for true crime, and telling them in this way where I can make people go on this journey without knowing the end. Giving away my secrets right now. But we'll wrap this thing up. Kenneth Linn. Fun fact: Kenneth Linn is the one that's doing all the video for the I'm Kind of Famous podcast. So this is useful. So we're gonna have video for this particular episode. We're here at the Sunback Film Festival in the middle of it, day 2. Right outside of Luciano's Great Italian Restaurant.
If you get a VIP pass, well, I guess it's kind of too late for this year. But man, it's the best bargain. I'm for real. Why are you guys looking at me?
Because you're giving a plug. I'm not going to stop you in the middle of a plug.
Oh, well, it's incredible how much you get for however much you pay for it, depending on what time of year you buy it.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, I want you to tell people how to find you. Some social media, some websites, whatever.
What, out here in Kansas? Or
for you, Adam Knapp, out here in Kansas, whatever. They got to follow your story. Out here in Kansas, almost done, getting to the next thing.
Yes. We out here in Kansas.com. That'll lead you to, links on how to reach us. It'll get you to our blog, which I personally update, try to do it at least 5 times a month. I've been doing that for a couple years now. So if you're interested in the film, there's 2 years worth of backstory.
We started a new blog too.
Started a new blog for the Wichita Wings. It's called Wichita Wings Movie. So if you just Google Wichita Wings Movie, you'll get that
That's
blog.
The name of the blog, not the movie.
Right. Yes. So the movie's still untitled.
It's fresh. It's new. You're still getting your PR together. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got we're playing in Chicago here in a few days. Actually, the Windy City Film Festival
for out here in Kansas.
Yeah, out here in Kansas, and I'm told there'll probably be at least one screening in Hutchinson later this year, before it goes public.
Well, is that the same for you, Kenny? You're gonna follow the train on the out here in Kansas.com Wichita Wings the movie search and how people can find you? Is that the
Yeah, I mean, those are the biggest projects I'm working on now, so that's fine with me.
So thank y'all for coming out. Well, I guess you guys are already here. I had to come out to make this happen. But yes, the
for real, we appreciate the publicity and that sort of thing.
Well,
you've always been good to us.
So,
you are kind of famous.
Yeah. I'm trying to take your spot.
Yeah, well.
Again, we're out here at the 3rd annual Sunback Film Festival and Art Crawl in Mulvane. Now, when you hear this, is have already taken place, but the next year comes around next June. Hopefully, there's a 4th annual film festival. Anyone listening, y'all can come out. You can find me aRoweFilms.com. That's the links to everything that's happening with the podcast and whatever I'm working on Facebook.com/KindaFamousPod, KINDA Famous Pod POD. Get those clean people collect. I don't even know what to say now. This is the most involved. This is the first time I do 2 people at once. So I'm like, all right, I think I'm doing everything right now.
It's all you. All you gotta do is wrap it up, man.
I'm trying to wrap it up. This is like, as I've been told, like doing black NPR. So I'll take that. But make sure you go to the social media sites: Facebook, Twitter, Kinda Famous Pod, iTunes, Google Music, Podbean, SoundCloud. Share, tell a friend. I mean, this film out here in Kansas, I gotta say, is a really good film. Half an hour, great twist. I think everyone should see it, especially if you are in the LGBT community, or if you are curious of these kind of conversations that should be happening between people, but especially when this whole religious thing and the right to marriage and all this type of thing kind of cloud judgment when everyone's yelling at each other. This is a good, intimate film, a great conversation, a great debate, and just a great all-around story with a great twist at the end. So I think everyone should see it when you can see it. If you can't make it to any of the festival screenings that they're having, as Adam said, somewhere in 2017, they'll be free to the public, or there will be
available
access
at least
for the documentary. Got to throw a few quarters his way, it sounds like you're saying. But with that said, next week there's a new episode every Thursday of the I'm Kinda Famous podcast. And until then, tell your mama I said hi.
So in light of you being kind of famous,
why the hell I'm kinda famous? Who the hell she know?